Hey everyone, welcome back to the Global Medical Device Podcast. My name is Etienne Nichols. I'm the host for today's episode. And today, a little bit less problem solving. We're going to actually be talking and interviewing a colleague of mine, Alex Naber, who is a medical device consultant internally here at Greenlight Guru, helps companies understand the regulations and the pathways that they need, and really just understand what is it that I even need to do to implement a QMS and a few other things. I won't butcher the intro, but Alex, how are you doing today? Good to have you with us.
Good. I'm doing really well. Happy to be here. Very happy to be here.
Do you want to why don't we go through, because I want this episode to be something of we have a historic tradition of a Meet the Guru episode where when we had what we used to call them as medical device gurus,
Yep.
we would introduce them and we'd kind of give their background so that people knew a little bit more about the experience that we have internally here at Greenlight Guru so that um, we want to be the trusted voice in medtech. We want to be the ones who can lead you up the mountain, kind of like that Sherpa up the mountain. So as you're taking your medical device to market. So why don't we go into your background a little bit and talk about where you've been, where you come from, what your hopes
Yeah.
and aspirations are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So went to my university, Oxford, Ohio, was the part of the second graduating class of bioengineering there.
All right.
It was a very new degree when I was going through there. Started as a complaint engineer with an orthopedic company called Biomet at the time, which bought Zimmer.
Zimmer.
I'm sorry, which Zimmer bought.
Yeah.
So it became Zimmer Biomet. Um, Lived in Warsaw 2.5 years. Loved it. Cool little town. But wanted to be closer to I don't know, a larger airport. Be able to travel a little bit easier. So decided to apply to our spine organization out here in Denver, Colorado, which I live in Louisville, Colorado now. But worked for our spine company for about 5 years. Started as a field action specialist, engineer, kind of doing health hazard evaluations, determining the need for field actions, as well as investigating complaints as well. Still, eventually got into design quality, and so helped on some of our new projects. Worked on a device called the Tether for a little while. Very cool device. Helps adolescent scoliosis patients. Um, very rewarding. And then became a quality manager and headed up the post-market side of our spine division for a couple years. And then eventually, about 3 years ago, joined Greenlight and have loved it. I've loved the team, love the environment, um, like being able to work with a variety of companies and people. Um, and like you said, we've got a great background of experience on for our medical device gurus here, medical device consultants, what have you.
Yeah.
Um, we have a huge variety, which is always nice.
Yeah, and what I love about that is you have a pool of knowledge to draw from. I remember when I was working as a medical device guru myself, I would face things and it's intimidating because, I don't know how many companies do you think you've worked with in the last 3 years for Greenlight Guru?
Oh man, I'd say probably over 200.
Wow. Yeah.
Just not on a recurring basis, but just like ancillary, like ad hoc calls is in addition to that.
Yeah, answering
Um,
questions, solving problems.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, I was
Or could be on Guru Assist as well.
I think I was somewhere in the 50 to 60 range, and it was intimidating because those were my recurring calls that I had
Oh
to,
yeah.
monthly or bi-monthly or whatever it was. And I just, I thought, okay, I don't know everything. And it was explained to me, well, wait, you don't need to know everything. You have this team that you can draw from. This guy's got combination product experience. This one's a project manager and Kappa manager, whatever else.
Yep.
So that is super, super helpful. It's a one point of contact, but lots of knowledge behind that point of contact.
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, I think it's a rewarding thing to just um, understand that you don't need to know everything. I think that's a thing that, um, I don't know, even within the medical device industry that people should realize. And
Oh
they
yeah.
should reach out to other people that are smarter or more experienced in realms that they don't understand to gain that level of experience or um, yeah, just gain that level of knowledge. I think it's rewarding to say, I don't know, let me go find that out for you.
Absolutely. And I mean, that really is the key. You say that, and then you go find it out, you get them the answer, and they're happy. I always described what did because people would ask me, what is a medical device guru at Greenlight Guru? What's that entail? And I would just kind of describe it. It might be a little bit, I don't know, abstract, but I would say you have to have medical device experience of some
Yep.
sort. So you've worked in the medical device industry. You
Hmm.
have the heart of a teacher. You are ready to teach and a beginner's mindset. You recognize that you don't know everything. So those three things are
Absolutely.
pretty critical. Yeah.
100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. It's a matter of trying to guide, teach, mentor, either new people that are new to the industry that don't necessarily know what they don't know yet. They don't know what they need to do yet. And or just help people with our product as well. That's another item. If people are more experienced in the industry, then it's about matter of helping them get to know like our product, best practices, things like that. So industry knowledge as well as product knowledge is really
Yeah.
where it kind of goes.
And when I came to Greenlight Group, I don't think I recognized what all the product entailed. I'd worked in quality management systems before, SAP, Oracle R12, Agile, I think were I
Hmm.
worked with the really big stuff. Um, but design controls was in spreadsheets. And so when I came, I knew Greenlight Group was a QMS, so that's what I was expecting. But
Yep.
inside that QMS is a product development playground as well for anyone who has to manage design controls. And I target the project managers. I think, man, this will make your life so much easier. But I don't know if you want to speak to some of that and how some of this software can help a medical device company and the people working there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, so my last company, we use Excel spreadsheets, which I think is kind of like the typical standard within the industry of if you're building a traceability matrix, whether that be design control traceability or risk traceability.
Right.
Um, and they highly configurable. They're easy to use. However, you don't get like you're always going to have references for like either what are your design outputs, what are your verification items, what are your validation items, and or what are your risk mitigation items. Like you will include references to those where you'll
Not
have
true
to
traceability. Right.
exactly not true traceability. You got to like just be like, oh, here, this is the call out for it, and then you got to go find it. And you got to hope that that reference is still accurate. Maybe there might be a change that you accidentally forgot to do or something like that. But the lovely thing about the within Greenlight is that you're building those linkages, that traceability directly within your eQMS. So you identify this is the item that was created. This was the design output. This is the risk mitigation item, the risk control. Here's the link for it, and you immediately go access it instead of having to go to another location to a software while having your spreadsheet pulled up. Um, so it just makes that connection, that traceability a lot faster, a lot easier to navigate.
I love that. And now with our new product, Ultralight, it even extends that a little bit further. So if you have your GitHub or your Jira items, you can link
Yep.
those in easily, and you have all of your software elements, repositories, and so on. So
Yep.
that's really exciting to see what's changing in the industry and what's changing internally at Greenlight Guru, what the future will be. And before we got on, we were talking a little bit about another thing that you do. I guess I don't know if we call it a side project. I don't know how many hats you wear, Alex, but I know the templates are another thing, and those are a huge value add to people who come to Greenlight Guru. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I manage our templates here, our QMS templates here at Greenlight Guru. We also have a software template package that Rook, or one of our partners, manages. But the QMS template package is it's a it's a QMS that you can stand up very rapidly. Basically, we have the documentation, we've got the procedures, work instructions, work forms that you would need to build a 1345, ISO 1345, or FDA, CFR Part 820, or EUMDR compliant QMS. We've got the documentation to help you build that. just go ahead and just stand up those documents immediately within your QMS. There might be require some tweaks here and there, but they are ready-made and easy to implement, so that you don't have to build them yourself, which can take hours and weeks of, and maybe even months of time to just build them from scratch.
Yeah.
So we cut out all of that time, that you would be deliberating on what should go here, what should go there, what procedures do I need, what do I not need. We create all of those procedures for you.
Yeah, and I was talking to somebody recently. I don't know if it's last week or what exactly, but someone who had their friend was going to provide them with SOPs who had worked either at Boston Scientific, Johnson, whatever. And
Okay.
that's the industry is a little bit incestuous in that regard. So first of all, aside from the ethical, of taking those documents from the company,
Confidentiality.
whoever it
Yep.
was, that aside, there's a good chance those SOPs are extremely bloated. You know, 40,
Absolutely.
50-page quality manual when it doesn't need to be that. It's so many different things. So starting just with the streamline, put your stuff in. You're not taking this out, taking a spine
Mhm.
specific something out when you're neurological. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
100%. 100%. I know my last company, at a large global company, I had about 200 documents that I trained on. That was my annual training plan. I even, in my
Designed
last
to kill your
role,
spirit. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead.
exactly. In my last role, actually, because I was managing teams across two different QMSs, across two different
Oh,
departments
wow.
or organizations within Zimmer Biomet, ZimV eventually. Um, I think it got up to closer to like 250, 300, just because there was overlap in some procedures, but not everything. So a lot of documentation. So, like you said, it can be a bloated QMS. These procedures are, I would say, they'll get you started. They will meet the requirements, meet the 13.5 requirements, and you might need to add some additional content here and there based upon your device. However, they're going to be able to, they're established to meet the regulations
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
standards that you would need to.
Yeah, and I will say, when we talk about those bloated QMSs, they could be just fine for the companies that are that size. But if you're
Absolutely.
not the size of Zimmer Biomet, or if you're not the size of J&J, whoever it is, it just may not be the one. So, and the other thing I'd say is, I like that you said it is a QMS because that is a misunderstanding in the industry. What is an
Mhm.
eQMS and what is a QMS? And we've talked about that a little bit in the podcast before with a few other um, different gurus that I've had on the podcast, but I
Yeah.
think that's an important delineation as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The QMS is the documentation. Where you, if you're housing it electronically on a software solution like Greenlight Guru, it becomes an eQMS, which is so much easier to manage because you don't have to worry about signing off on documents, running it around through the office setting, or even mailing it to someone. And not mailing, but it's not snail mail, but
Yeah,
like emailing to someone, having them sign off on it, and then print it out, sign off on it. So yeah, that eQMS platform is absolutely the way to go in terms
yeah.
of collaboration, ease of
So,
use.
I want to dive a little bit more into your background a little bit because you'd
Hmm.
said what was it? Product quality, design quality. That's what it was.
Design quality. Yep.
Yeah, you were working on design quality. Can you explain a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of people see design and
Yep.
R&D may even be upstream of product development, and then you have quality over here by themselves. In between is this friction oftentimes, but what's your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say so. Again, I worked for a large company. We had different silos of quality, several different ones, just because there's a large organization, so people become specialized.
Yeah,
That's just what happens in a large organization. But my role was to sit on design project teams and ensure that we are um, meeting our procedures, we're following our procedures, going along with how we should be designing our product, what documentation we are creating, how we are um, performing verification validation
yeah,
testing, making sure everything's appropriate. So my role is really to kind of marry, I don't know, be that be that person that helps the design project become compliant to our quality management system.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And a lot of companies that will be an unofficial job of the project manager who
Absolutely.
or the lead engineer or whoever else. And so I like that it's kind of designated there.
Mhm.
But I do think there's a lot more education that needs to happen with project managers and so on, because that's actually how I found Greenlight Guru. I got my PMP. I was working on a project management role for a drug delivery combination product, and I kept having to teach design controls to the engineers, and I think, you can make it a lot simpler than we feel like it has to be sometimes. And so anyway, I think that is an important role. It's an um, it's an unsung hero type role.
It is. There was a joke where sometimes I felt like a traffic cop at times. We're like, no, we have to make sure we're doing it this way. But I've had engineers over the years, or like design engineers over the years, the product development engineers that um, wanted to ensure they're trying to make a product. They want to make the product. They're
Yeah,
passionate about it. Um, and sometimes it's like you said, they just don't under they didn't understand the quality, the why. Um, Behind some of the documentation we have to create, or why we have to do things a certain way. And I think it's a matter of not necessarily just being a traffic cop and saying, stop, no, you can't do it this way. More, let's work with them, educate them on what the need is, what the requirements are, what the procedures are saying and regulations are saying, and how can we work with them? How can we quality work with design and development to find a solution that gets us there?
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah. I had a guy early in my career say something similar. He said equality they can be a police or they can be a partner, and we want to be a partner. So that's
absolutely.
good. It's a good way to look at it. What's
Yeah,
your favorite
absolutely.
part about MedTech? If you were to just look, the regulations are big, ISO 1345, you flip it over. What would be your favorite part of MedTech, do you think?
Um, I think what got me into med tech was more the ethos behind it. Was like we're creating products to make patients' lives better, to
Yep.
impact our world, our society in a positive manner, to give a better quality of life to individuals. I got into it. It's my my grandpa had double knee replacements when
Mm,
I was young and younger, and I know that they helped his quality of life. It's part of the reason I wanted to get into orthopedics. Honestly,
yeah.
they allowed him to get to go to like games that I was having. So like go to my baseball games, go to my basketball games, allow him to just kind of be there, which he might not have been able to move around. He actually drove until he was like 91, I think, something like
Wow.
that, which was a bit
Yeah.
shocking, but he was awesome. And like I said, that kind of ethos of we're trying to help our community in a positive way, I think is the what brought me to it. And I think
Yeah.
is hard to remember sometimes when you're in like the quality documentation side of things. Like what's the reason we're doing this, and that's making sure we've got the patient in mind. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I think that's important for any company in the health or medical device space, is to really remember the patient, because it does bring it home, the ethical
absolutely,
side of things for sure. And there's
absolutely.
different ways you can do that. You can invite a customer who's really believed in your product, to come speak at your all hands event or whatever.
Yep.
Lots of different
Very,
ways to
very
do that.
common.
Yeah.
Always loved all of those types of things where like we'd either have like a surgeon come in, or maybe we've had a patient come in who I remember I was talking about the tether earlier. It's this product that my last company was making. Now it's High Ridge Medical at this point. They've a few different name changes over the time, but basically they help adolescent patients with scoliosis. The way that they do that, instead of having a fusion, this tether cord gets put into place using some screws. It gets tightened to help reduce the curvature of the patient's spine.
Wow.
But as they grow, it's supposed to, because of the compression that's putting on the discs, they will naturally kind of grow out of the curvature of their spine. Um, so that it helps over time.
Yeah.
But we had a patient come in who was super active, was playing like water polo like a few years after having the procedure. It was so cool. But having that was always, I think, always important,
Yeah.
like knowing your why.
Yeah, I think that is important, and there's lots of ways to do that, and you can tie it to the quality side too. We talked about the quality being perceived as a police every now and then, or a traffic cop, and if you, I was actually talking to, I don't know who this was. I keep thinking I need to start learning, remembering who I talked to, but when it comes to and positives and negatives. Risk management in general. I know who
Mhm.
it was. I was telling one of our salespersons this. Risk management in general it feels like a cost sink. Okay, we're gonna mitigate all these risks. But if you don't actually ever see those risks, you feel like, man, we just spent $100,000. Would it have actually
Totally.
happened or not? But if you fix an existing problem, like you save somebody's life who is in emergent danger, well, you've done
Mhm.
something amazing. So there's the positive and negative, two different levers in my mind. And so I do think it's important to understand or convey, if we don't do it this way, these are the potential impacts, and actually have that graphic image. This is
Totally.
something, maybe a competitor, maybe someone else who they didn't have this stuff in place, and here it is. This is what could happen if we don't do the things that we expect our engineers to do. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Have that no that again, that why of
yeah,
what is the impact of your current role? What's the impact of your job on making sure these people are going to have a better quality of life or not be impacted negatively by your
yeah.
product?
So Kappa management, we've talked about that a lot. It's one of the top three reasons for FDA 483s every single year. How did that go? And what were your thoughts when you said you were a Kappa manager at one point, right?
Yeah, so I managed our issue evaluation process, which was basically kind of like a precursor to Kappa.
Okay.
Basically, if it required, it was more quality process related items. So instead of having like a non-conformance that we'd open an issue evaluation. That's just how our system was.
Yeah.
But if it had a correction, it would stay within the issue evaluation realm. If it had ended up having to get into corrective action, it would go into Kappa. It would be open into there. Um, but highly important. One, I think knowing the distinction between correction and corrective action is something that isn't always known. Where correction is correcting the issue that occurred, and corrective action is addressing that root cause of the issue.
Yeah.
Changing a procedure or changing a process, changing a workflow, something like that. But I'm not surprised that it's the most common thing. I feel like it can be. I don't know, what am I trying to say? There's a balance, I think, between opening a kappa versus a nonconformance.
Yeah.
You don't want to overburden your quality management system by opening a kappa for every issue that comes up.
Right.
Um, you, you
Yeah.
don't want
Is
to
this
underburden.
systemic or
Is
is
it
this just
systemic?
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That
So
is a
I think
fuzzy
that's an
line.
important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's
yeah.
true. I think some companies think, okay, we'll go ahead and put a procedure in place. We'll do kappas when we get on the market. But I
Mhm.
think that's a little bit of a mistake because you miss that ramp up period to see if your kappa is even working. I mean, there's
Totally.
other issues too, if you have ISO 1345 certification in mind and other things as well. But what are your thoughts on building that out from the beginning and doing it right?
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's a system, it's a process that you should have implemented before going on the market. One, it's going to need to be there before you get there. But like you said, it's good to have I don't know, the wrinkles ironed out of how
Yeah.
your process is going to be managed, how it's going to flow. Um, if you can I think it's the sign of a healthy quality management system.
Yeah.
Your continuous improvement. You can identify like, oh, this issue occurred. Instead of just fixing it, you can identify, okay, well, where are there some potential? Where are the preventive actions that we can implement as a result of this? Like, okay, we're doing a similar thing over here, or this could be something that could be mitigated over there or over here to
A different
prevent an
product
issue
line.
going forward. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. A different product line, or different design control. Maybe you didn't define correctly, maybe not
Yeah.
correctly, but inadequately. You'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, we defined this one here. It wasn't too great. Let's go back and look at this other one that could be a little ambiguous as well. Something
Yeah.
like that.
That's a good point. Yeah. I think that's a good point. Um, no, cool. Well, I've enjoyed talking to you. Are there any things you'd like to just say to the audience? Any anything you'd like them to go check out? I don't know. It's anything. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Um, yeah, appreciate you. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy helping our customers gain a better understanding of our products as well as just the regulations in general. Um, I think there is the QMSR is upcoming.
Yeah.
QMSR release is upcoming in February. To quote Taylor Brown, it's not that deep. Um, I don't like. Yes, there's things that are changing, but if you're meeting ISO 1345 already, it's not. There's not going to be drastic changes that are
Yeah.
happening to your QMS. Um, Highly recommend reading through the regulation, the rule, the actual QMSR rule. You'll notice that the very bottom of the QMSR is the new Part 820. Take a look at that. Basically, that's where the FDA is defining. Okay, you have to do these things. Otherwise, it's 1345 2016. So yeah, not too much else.
Cool.
I enjoy the conversation. Thank you so much for
Well, I
having
would
me.
s- well, I would say to the audience listening, if you
Yeah,
are freaking out about QMSR, it would be nice if you want to work with somebody who recognizes that it's going to be a blip, it's going to be okay, we got this, no worries. I do the templates. I work with, you've said 200 plus companies. I recognize the pitfall, the different things. Head over to www.greenlight.guru
absolutely.
and check out our software,
Yeah.
product development, quality management system, clinical solutions. Our goal is to really be the service provider that can help a medical device company bring their medical device to market and improve the quality of life. So
We've had some great webinars on that topic as well. Highly
yes,
recommend listening to this podcast if you do it regularly, if they don't already.
yeah, if this is the only one, you need to listen to more. So yeah, cool. Really appreciate it, Alex. Those of you who've been listening, thank you so much for listening to the Global Medical Device Podcast. We'll let you all get back to the rest of your day. Until next time, take care.